Hello friends, welcome back to the studio, and if you're new here, welcome. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, it's just down below. I'll wait just a moment. All done? Good. Right, today is a much anticipated and much requested video about the different types of leather, hence why I have two pieces of leather here. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the two main types plus one extra of the types of leather you can buy for your leather project and which one is suitable for which. So, the two main types are chrome tan and veg tan. Now these may look very similar, both leather as you can see. However, there is a marked difference, there's a massive difference. This is chrome tan, alright, and this is vegetable tan or veg tan. What is chrome tan? What is veg tan? Chromium tanning is a tanning process used by tanneries to produce leather at a very quick rate, and it uses chromium salts, hence the name chrome tan. Vegetable tanned leather, is a much slower process, but a much more natural process. Now you can get both in a wide range of colours. However, there is a massive difference when it comes to uses, as in which one you use for what. For most beginners, I would highly recommend you start with vegetable tan. Now the reason for this is it's stiffer and therefore easier to handle, but that does come with the premium of the price. Now that's one of the biggest differences between chrome tan and veg tan, aside from the actual characteristics of the leather, is the price. Chrome tan, this one here, is far cheaper than vegetable tan. Now the main reason for this is because of time. Veg tan takes a long time to tan. This is chestnut or whiskey. This is whiskey buttero leather. It's an Italian tanned leather. This is a no-name brand. I'm not sure what the tannery is for this, but it's just a sort of stand-in for you. And as you can see, it's really, really flexible. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys and explaining why to use one over the other. Now I can't tell you specifically, okay, you're making a shoulder bag with two pockets inside and it's lined with X, Y or Z, you need to use this type of leather. Can't do that because it's not possible. Because it depends on your skill level, it depends on what you want it to do, it depends on what you want it to survive essentially, how you want it to age, and we're going to go through those now. So let's start with vegetable tan, because I'm guessing most of you watching this will be beginner or intermediate leather workers, and that's why you're trying to figure out which leather to use. In the majority of cases for beginner leather workers, vegetable tanned leather is a more forgiving type of leather, and it ages really, really beautifully. It ages and it gets what people call patina. So as you use it, as your skin puts its natural oils onto the skin or the wallet or bag or belt or whatever it is you're making, it will change colour. It will get darker. It won't get lighter. The colour you buy it is the lightest it will get, but it will get darker as you use it. Now, do you want it to get darker? That's a question that only you can answer, but it's a question that you need to think about, because if you want this product that you're making to look more or less identical in a decade with good care, you don't want to use vegetable tanned leather. And the reason for that being is what I just said, is it will age. it will look used. It will look loved. You'll get marks on it. You'll get watermarks. If it rains on vegetable tan leather, you'll see it and it will stay. And that's can be helpful if you're doing something, if you're embossing it or you're tooling it, so you're carving into it. You want it to stay in that. You want it to pick up that characteristic that you're putting into it, whether it's a mark or a dye. Because the other thing is, you can't hand dye chrome tan leather, so you can't buy chrome tan leather in the same way you can buy vegetable tan leather. So if I mark, here we go, I'll do it for you here now. So if I take this corner and I mark it, that is now dyed, as you can see. Alright, if I did that with the other one, so you got the other one here, it just beads off. Alright, it just beads off, and the reason for that being, don't try this at home, don't just sort of run a dye marker over your project because you'll ruin it if you're not careful. But my point is that if you want to buy a natural skin, an undyed skin, like an undyed cow skin or an undyed calf skin or an undyed goat skin or whatever it might be, you can then dye it yourself. You can buy some leather dye and you can run it over it, or you can dunk the leather into it, or a whole bunch of other ways of dyeing leather. You can do that. The only real way to dye chrome tan leather at home is if you buy crust. And now that gets into the tanning process of when the hide arrives at the tannery, it will go through the initial processes, it will get washed down, it will go through the baths of chromium salts, and the stage after tanning, before dyeing, before it's made into this colour or whatever colour it is, it will be white. Now that is because it has zero pigment, it's been washed, it's been essentially bleached, and it has no pigment to it. You can then dye that, but what you have to be careful of with chrome tan is you have to seal it afterwards. So I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to go through that because I wouldn't really know what I'm talking about. But that is one thing to consider if you want to buy some veg tan, and you can even buy it like this. You can buy it pre-colored, pre-dyed, and then you can put whatever you want on top of this, or you can buy it as a natural veg tan without it being dyed. But if you want to make, let's say you want to make a bag that you want to use as a work bag, and you want to take it into your business meetings, and you want to take it into the train and the plane and whatever it is that you're doing with that bag, I would highly recommend that you use a chrome tan for the main panels of that bag. And that is because it will not pick up the dirt. It won't pick up, if it rains when you're on your way to work, it won't pick up those rain droplets. Veg tan will. It's also worth noting that when you're first starting in leatherwork, you want something that's reasonably stiff. And the reason for that is when you're cutting chrome tan with a scalpel or a blade, doesn't really matter if it's scissors, but if you're cutting your your chrome tan leather, your leather of any tannage, you want it to be relatively stiff when you're beginning because you don't want it to move. Chrome tan, because it's so soft, I'll show you what happens. Ooh. Chrome tan stretches. Alright, So as you're pulling your blade through that, it's going to pull out of the way and you're going to get a curved cut. But when you're doing veg tan leather, there's no stretch to it at all. It's pretty stiff. Now, all leathers are different. So this is like I said, a shoulder, an Italian shoulder. This is, I think this was a side. I think this was a flank actually, but the species of leather can be either veg tan or chrome tan. They're in most cases. Exotics are a whole other ball game. I'll go into exotics in another video if you'd like me to. But with most species, they can be either veg tan or chrome tan. And I'll give you an example. This is a calf skin. Alright? And that's a chrome tan calf skin. This could also be thought of as a calf skin. Calf is simply a smaller cow. This is a veg tan. And the point I'm trying to get at is you can't think, oh, I'm buying a goat skin and therefore it is 100% going to be chrome tan, because it's not. You can buy goat skin in either chrome or veg. You can buy calf in chrome or veg. You can buy pretty much anything in chrome or veg. Like I said, forget exotics. Put exotics out of your mind, because exotics are a different kettle of fish entirely. But in this instance, what you're looking at is not the species, it's the tannage and the hand of it. The hand is how flexible it is. So that stays upright. So that's a medium hand. This, if I let it go, is a very soft hand. Most upholstery leathers are soft because they need to be stretched over whatever it is that you're upholstering, whether it's a car seat or a sofa or whatever. So most upholstery leathers are very soft hand. If you're looking at something like a shell cordovan, that's going to be really quite a firm hand. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on really quickly before the end of this video is retan. So a retan is where the skin's gone through one process. So normally it's the skin's gone through a chrome tan process, and then after they've chrome tanned it, so after they've got it to the point of that white crust stage I spoke to you about before, they will then put it into the veg tan process, and they'll entirely tan it through the veg tan process after the chrome tan process. The sort of most unmistakable retanned leather is going to be your Chrome XL by Horween. It's one of the most famous retanned leather. It's Chrome XL, and that's been chrome tanned followed by veg tanned, and you get a bit of a combination of both as far as material is concerned. As far as characteristics are concerned, it's going to be quite durable, but then it's also going to age quite nicely. So the takeaway for today's video for you guys is, don't just look at the species. I work with an awful lot of goat, and I work with both chrome and veg depending on what I'm using for, what I'm using it for. And when I'm working with calf, if I want it to be nice and durable, I'll use a chrome tan. But one of the biggest reasons I suggest for new leather workers to use veg tan is because you cannot, and I've tried, you cannot burnish chrome tan. And edge painting, I have a video on edge painting. You're more than welcome to go and watch that. And I'd advise you to. I'd love you to, in fact. When you're first starting out, edge painting is quite a challenge to learn. So I always recommend people start off with burnishing. And when you're burnishing leather, you can't burnish chrome tan. So if you've made a wallet and or you've made a lovely watch strap, or you've made a lovely belt, and then you try and burnish it and it's chrome tan, you'll either ruin it or it'll just sort of fall apart and not do anything. So I would highly recommend you start off with veg tan. It does mark more easily, and that's the other thing that's really important to notice, is that if you run your fingernail down chrome tan, it will mark, but it will recover. If you run your fingernail down veg tan, it will mark, but it won't recover. It won't come back from that, unless it's very specific types of leather. The one last thing to note is that with veg tan, you can cold stamp it. So if you have a logo stamp, for instance, if you've got to the point of having your maker's mark or your logo, and you try and cold stamp chrome tan leather, it will stamp, but then it will bounce back. So you have to use a heat press or a blowtorch with your stamp or whatever to to stamp chrome tan. If you're trying to stamp veg tan, you can just push it in with a mallet or a stamp or whatever it is that you're using, and it will stay. You can get different results if you're using heat or if you're using water or whatever it might be, but veg tan marks so much easier, and it also is so much better for marking your stitch line. It creases so much more easily. You can use a roundel like this. You can use a roundel to mark on the leather. If you try and mark on chrome tan, you're not going to have a very good day. It will work, but it won't stay. I hope this video was useful to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It helps the channel grow so much and get the videos in front of so many more people. And I really look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later.